At 99 years old, Mel Brooks stands as one of comedy's most influential figures, with an estimated net worth around $100 million earned over decades of film, television, theater, and entertainment. He occasionally auctions personal items, donates memorabilia to museums, and signs new deals even in his late 90s, actions that some fans interpret as part of a legacy he's carefully arranging for the future. His long life has been marked by equal parts hardship, ferocity, rebellion, and a relentless pursuit of laughter. Brooks entered the world on June 28, 1926, in a cramped Brooklyn tenement at 515 Powell Street. Money was scarce, and his family survived on roughly $25 a week, barely enough during the Great Depression. His parents, Kate Brookman and Max Kaminsky, had Ukrainian Jewish roots. Mel, the youngest of four boys, Irving, Lenny, and Bernie being older, grew up in a home short on space and food but full of character. As a small and sickly child, he was bullied, so he developed a quick wit as a defense. He copied voices, accents, and rhythms he heard around him, and the moment he imitated someone, teasing often stopped. That skill, impressions as armor, became one of the first sparks of his comic identity. At 9 years old, his uncle took him to the Alvin Theater to see Anything Goes. Ethel Merman's booming voice electrified him. Leaving the theater, he announced he would never work in the garment district like so many relatives. Instead, he would make people laugh. Determination unlike anything he had known settled inside him. As a teenager, he learned drums from Buddy Rich, the prodigy from Brooklyn, who became both mentor and friend. Rich taught him rhythm, discipline, and how to control an audience's heartbeat through timing. By 14, Mel was playing paid gigs in the Catskills. At 16, he substituted as an MC and made $10 a night. Jokes quickly became more valuable to audiences than his drumming. He finished high school in 1944 and considered college, but World War II intervened. Earlier, he changed his professional name to Mel Brooks to avoid confusion with another musician called Max Kaminsky. He performed in smoky Brooklyn clubs at night and delivered garments by day, absorbing material, perfecting voices, and testing jokes for tough crowds. By 17, he entered amateur circuits called The Kid with the Loud Mouth, fusing comedy, drums, and street-smart rhythm. Coney Island boardwalk performances toughened him further. Once he nearly fought off thieves trying to steal his equipment, a moment he later said taught him to stay alert, because in Brooklyn, you rarely get a second chance to duck. The Army drafted him at 18. He trained at the Virginia Military Institute before being sent to the front. He served with the 114th Engineer Combat Group and survived the Battle of the Bulge, clearing mines, building bridges under fire, and sleeping in snow-filled forests where death lurked with every step. He once joked that minefields taught him comedic timing. Pause at the wrong moment and the consequences are immediate. Humor became a coping mechanism. At times he even shouted songs through bullhorns to mock enemy propaganda. After the war, he returned home in 1946, a corporal carrying unspoken trauma that he would later work through in therapy. Comedy became both shield and release. He found work in the Catskills again, especially at Grossinger's Resort, earning $75 a week to host shows, drum, perform stunts, and keep crowds roaring. He learned how to control silence as well as laughter, how to revive a cold room or ride a hot one. Stand-up and radio writing followed, and one night after salvaging a failed minefield joke with a clever twist, he was offered his first writing job, $25 a week. In 1949, he auditioned for Sid Caesar's The Admiral Broadway Revue. He fell to his knees, singing a ridiculous song about being terrible. Caesar loved the audacity and hired him. Soon Brooks was working alongside Neil Simon, Carl Reiner, and Mel Tolkien in a legendary writer's room that ran on cigarettes, coffee, and sleepless nights. On Your Show of Shows, they wrote more than 200 sketches a year for an audience of 60 million. It was brutal work, yet exhilarating. Brooks tested boundaries, slipped Jewish humor past nervous executives, and experimented with absurd formats. His love for physical comedy deepened after collapsing during a rehearsal for a sketch requiring actors to freeze for hours, an unforgettable moment in early television lore. By 1960, he recorded The 2,000-Year-Old Man with Carl Reiner. Improvised, raw, and outrageous, the album shocked some but ultimately sold over 1 million copies and expanded what comedy albums could be. After leaving television for more creative freedom, his Broadway attempt Shinbone Alley flopped, but failure pushed him toward film. In 1967 he pitched The Producers, a satire revolving around Hitler. Studios rejected it repeatedly until Joseph E. Levine funded it with a modest budget and a 40-day shoot. Brooks recruited Zero Mostel with impulsive charm. The notorious Springtime for Hitler number divided early viewers, but cemented Brooks's fearless approach to taboo. The film won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, though it initially failed financially, teaching Brooks to distrust studio accounting, but strengthening his resolve. Before that, he co-created Get Smart with Buck Henry, though he left after clashes with network demands for a softer, family-friendlier tone. In 1974 he directed Blazing Saddles, pushing boundaries again with crude humor, racial satire, and the infamous campfire being scene. Executives protested. Brooks refused to cut it, believing comedy must risk offense to hit truth. The same year he created Young Frankenstein, insisting it be shot in black and white. Universal resisted, but Brooks stood firm, and the choice became iconic. Rumors swirled about marijuana-fueled writing sessions, yet his films triumphed and became classics. In 1987 he made Spaceballs, securing George Lucas's blessing under one strict condition: no merchandise, a restriction that cost millions in potential sales. Brooks included a joke about merchandising inside the script as payback. Despite production challenges and legal oddities, like lawsuits from yogurt companies over the character named Yogurt, the film grew into a cult favorite. His boundary-pushing continued with History of the World, Part 1, whose Jews in Space sketch was bold enough to be banned in multiple countries. In 2001 he adapted The Producers for Broadway with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick. Chaotic rehearsals full of pranks and improvised humor led to a record-breaking 12 Tony Awards. Later productions faced tight security during IRA bombing scares in London, but the cast continued performing. Not every risk paid off. Young Frankenstein, 2007, cost $14 million to mount and ultimately lost money, though Brooks defended it passionately. Still, he joined the rare group of EGOT winners: Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Brooks has sold memorabilia for charity, donated props to museums, and remained active. He raised significant funds for cancer research, voiced animated characters, survived pacemaker surgery in 2018, and continued developing projects into his late 90s, including Spaceballs 2 and a new series titled Very Young Frankenstein. His wife Anne Bancroft, whom he married in 1964, remained his partner in life and creativity until her death in 2005.